The budget enthusiast. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy, the budget enthusiast, and today we're going to talk about Studio 666. Now, this is the Foo Fighters movie. So, what it is Dave Grohl, who is the front runner for Foo Fighters, he came up with a story. Like, he wrote out a whole story, and they kind of turned it into a movie. So this movie centers around the Foo Fighters making their 10th album, and they need a place to record it. Like, they need inspiration, if you will. So, they were talking about other bands who have gone to weird, obscure places to record their final videos or record their final albums or whatever the case may be. So they needed some inspiration. So the record executive was like, I got the perfect place. Now, it sounded sketchy from the beginning. So they meet with this real estate agent. They go to this house. Now, this particular house is not what it appears to be. So if you've seen the trailers for it, if you haven't seen the trailers, I suggest you go look at the trailer and you'll get a general idea what the movie's about. But it's a horror comedy. So there's a lot of foul language. Okay, so the Foo Fighters humor is more like so imagine, let's see, how can I put this? Imagine Rob Zombie. You know how Rob Zombie always has super vulgar, foul language in his movies. Imagine a Rob Zombie movie, but in a comedy form. That's how it is. The humor is very lowbrow, so don't expect witty, thought-provoking comedy. It is 100% not any of that. It is goofball, foul language. Like, there's a scene. I have to say this scene. So towards the end, it's not gonna give anything away, but this is how goofy this movie is. So there's a scene at the end where Dave Grohl is fighting with another person. I can't tell you who it is because it's gonna give some stuff away if you decide you want to watch it. But they're tussling in like this garden, and they just start kicking each other in the balls just over and over, over and over. So it's that type of humor. So people who find stuff like that funny, not necessarily the Jackass crowd, because the Jackass, like, they're like mutilating each other for entertainment. This here is just a goofball comedy. It's like Shaun of the Dead or Dale and Tucker, if you haven't seen any of those. Now, trust me, it's not nearly as good as any of those, but it's a screwball comedy with some decent gags in it. So I'm not comparing them on the level of Dale and Tucker and Shaun of the Dead, not even close. But it gives you, though, it's trying to be like those movies, which is fine. We all need to laugh here and there. Now, I personally, I've heard a few of the Foo Fighters songs. They're not like my favorite band or anything. I wasn't clamoring to see it because of that. I like to see horror comedies from time to time. I'm really big into horror, but every now and then I like to see horror comedies because they are kind of funny and some of the kills are hilarious. And horror comedies have some of the best kills, and this movie did not disappoint. There are some hilarious kills in this movie, let me tell you. I have to describe one of them, and I think you might see part of it in the trailer. But it's one with a huge symbol, like, the drummer has the symbol, so somebody rips the symbol off the drum set, and he throws it at him, and it catches him in the mouth, and it splits. Like, the top of his head is still sitting on the symbol, and the rest of his body like starts sliding down. And what I tell you is blood everywhere. It's so much blood in this movie. So look, I'm laughing just thinking about how much blood they spew in this film. It is over the top. It is super duper over the top. But look, trust me, if you like screwball vulgar comedies, you will enjoy this. If you're just there for the gore, you get plenty of it. So while it's not for everybody, I do recommend checking it out when it hits like Netflix or Amazon or something like that. I went to see it in the theater only because I have the AMC A list. If I didn't have that, where I could just see 3 movies every week and just pay a monthly fee, and I don't have to pay out of pocket right away, that's the only reason why I went to see it. So I went to see it on a random Wednesday night before it left the theater because it only had like a couple showings left. I'm assuming it didn't do very well. I'm pretty sure they already knew it wasn't going to do well. It probably do much better on the streaming services. I guarantee you, whatever streaming service it hits, people are going to watch it just because it's easy to access. But it was funny. It had me cracking up. Like I said, I'm not a gigantic fan of the Foo Fighters. I know a few of their songs, but I appreciate what they were doing. And for them to be not necessarily actors, they did a fairly decent job. It's not Shakespearean by any means. It definitely is. The acting is kind of laughable at some points, but that adds to the hilarity of the movie. So, just to give you an example, Dave Grohl is playing himself. They are all pretty much playing themselves. So the acting, you don't have to act as much. There are certain sections where they have to run or they scream or whatever, but you don't really have to act when you're kind of being yourself. And that's what kind of makes this cool. It could almost be a documentary if it wasn't a screwball horror comedy. But anyway, I enjoyed the movie. Now, would I say I want everybody to go out and watch it? Probably not. Probably not at all. But it gave me an hour and 50 minutes of entertainment that I'm glad that I actually saw it. So if you like those style movies, though, like you just have to like that style. You don't even have to be a fan of their music because it's not like they play their music all the time in this. But if you like the Foo Fighters, it's a must see regardless. But if you're just like, I don't know, I would say check it out because it does have funny moments and the kills are pretty good and ridiculous and over the top. So, these are not scripted, so just thought of something. So you know how screwball hilarious like the Evil Dead and Army of Darkness are. Not the first Evil Dead, more like Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. You know how they have weird camera angles or people spewing up vomit. The Sam Raimi horror, you know how he does with gross out horror. That's how it is with comedy in it, like more comedy. Because the second Evil Dead had some, it's leaning towards more comedy than the very first one. But then Army of Darkness really took it and ran with it with the comedy. So it's more like an Army of Darkness type thing, but it's super vulgar. Like, I don't know how people feel about their kids watching certain things, but this is definitely something that I would be like, I don't know if this one's necessarily for kids because it's super vulgar. It's no nudity in it, but it's just really, really vulgar. But I cracked up. So if you like horror comedies, that is definitely one I suggest that you check out. Not necessarily because of the Foo Fighters, but just because it's a screwball, like, horror comedy. That's all it is. Slapstick stuff, people kicking each other in the balls, middle fingers, F you, F this. It's that type of stuff. So if you like that stuff, I suggest go watch it. I personally will give it a single thumbs up. I say I liked it. It cracked me up. It had me laughing for an hour and 50 minutes. And it had me cheering when certain kills were happening because they were pretty awesome. And they use a lot of practical effects in here too. It's not a lot of CG. So I can get down with that. So thank y'all for watching. Hopefully this helped you out if you were on the fence about it. So thank you for watching. And as usual, stay safe out there. Peace. The Budget Enthusiast. The Budget Enthusiast. The Budget Enthusiast.